Yeah!
Yo, yo, yo. Welcome back, everyone, to the Fantasy Football Pizzeria podcast. I am your host, Zach Succardi. With me, as always, is John Marler. You can find me on Twitter at FFPizzaman and on Instagram at Fantasy Football Pizzeria. And you can find John at Life Never Lost Everywhere.
Aw, crap.
So today we're going to go over just a little bit of a breakdown of the episode. As we're going to talk some news. We're going to give you the info on the pepperoni and pineapple of the week. We're going to go over some sit starts, pickups, pizza review, player comparison. Going to mention here the top 5 offensive leaders. Do the song of the week, and then end it all with the closing quote and me playing some of these hand drums right here. So I'm pretty excited about that.
I'm excited to be here with you, Zach.
Yeah, man. I'm happy to be here too, dude. This is it's been great coming here on Wednesdays and, doing this and having something to do on a consistent basis. It just feels good. It's like saving money or going to the gym or something.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we'll talk about in terms of life priorities.
Yeah. Excuse me, but yes, I'm glad it's fall, which I love. It's the best. The best season. I mean, it's the happy medium. You can wear a sweatshirt. You're not sweating your balls off. You're not freezing your ass off. And it's football season, man. It's October. It's Halloween. It's all these things that are just.
I'm super pumped that Vontaze Burfict got kicked out of the NFL for at least the rest of the season.
Me too. That fucking knucklehead. If you don't know, he put a hit on Jack Doyle from the Indianapolis Colts. And,
tight end.
Yeah, tight end from the Indianapolis Colts, and he was a defensive player, and he pretty much targeted him right at his head.
Yeah, when he was on his knees, the play's over. He's not helping anything, not even really going for the ball either, and he has just a history of this. And I actually found it's how many times. Well, you already know, but if you were to have guessed before you knew, how many times would you say that Vontaze Burfict had been fined and or suspended for dirty hits on players?
At least 10.
Yeah, and that's a pretty good guess because it was 13 times, man.
13.
So much
13.
for like the 3 strikes you're out type thing, but which I'm not saying we should go to, but this dude has just done it so many times. I mean, he's literally blowing kisses after he got injected from the game on his way walking out of the stadium. So like, forget this guy.
So I didn't know that. That's actually pretty funny. That he's maybe that just
walking, blowing kisses,
blamming it with it. Yeah. So that was sort of interesting that he would get cut he would get suspended the whole season. But fine by me. Fuck him.
He's lucky it's not longer, and we'll see what happens. You think he's gonna play again?
No, probably not.
Anyone?
XFL.
Raiders seems to be like the last place.
Yeah.
that would take him, but.
As far as fit and like style and sort of culture, you would think that would be
taking horrible people.
Yeah.
Who else? Is there any other teams that? I mean, the Patriots like to roster horrible people. So.
Yeah, they have been known to gamble on certain players. But otherwise, news. I saw a video here of Saquon Barkley doing some drills today at practice.
Which is crazy because just last week we were like, yeah, he's out 4 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, that high ankle sprain and
already being able to do any kind of workouts is awesome. And I heard earlier in the week before this was reported that he's like, yeah, I'm feeling better than expected, sooner than expected. So I have him in a couple leagues. So I'm hoping for the best. I hope he doesn't do the thing where he comes back too early and re-injures himself.
Yeah, I don't think that they would chance that, especially how well they've been playing. But definitely exciting to see. I mean, shit, the dude's like 22, so I wouldn't put it past them. But hopefully they represent against the Vikings this week, and they don't have to really rush too much going on, which I don't think that they would. I mean, that'd be stupid.
Yeah. Otherwise, Gallman had a good game in his absence, so we'll see if that continues in the meantime.
Yeah, Gallman was an awesome start. I was pumped to have him.
Awesome. Well, something that's close to Zach and I, because we have him on our dynasty team, and has really put up some good points for us this season so far, is John Ross. However, he got put on IR and is out for the rest of the season, so that's a bummer.
He's out, I believe, 8 games.
Oh, sorry.
No, all good.
8 games.
Yeah, so I think that we're at 5, so week 13 again, which is an awesome Pantera song, 13 Steps.
Oh, is it nice?
Yeah, that's right. Every time I hear 13, and like in my brain, it just triggers me going 13, 13, 13 steps. It's I don't know why. Even like since I was a teenager, but yeah. So that would put him back on at week 13. Again, I mean, if you're feeling what he's done in Dynasty, maybe you throw out a mid to late round pick next year, 4th round, maybe, I don't know, something like that. If you're, just to buy low on him since he had kind of a game.
So do you drop him or
No,
put him on your IR spot if you have it?
Yeah, sure. If you have an IR spot and no one's occupying it, that would be worthy. I would just toss him on there. Otherwise, just drop him.
Yeah, not worth taking up a bench spot.
No, definitely not.
All right. And looks like you found here that Hunter Henry, tight end for the Chargers, hyped up, got injured last year, came back, seemed like he was 100% healthy, got hurt early on again. Looks like he's at least not fully practicing, but doing some individual workouts.
Yeah, and I mean, that's always, encouraging, just like the Saquon Barkley thing. When you see these guys actually moving, you don't want them to rush it. Honestly, it's all about patience, especially, if you're doing any kind of dynasty formats, ultimate patience. Like, well, hey, shit, but as far as redraft, something to consider, again, if you have an IR spot, Hunter Henry should just be chilling on there. And definitely an encouraging thing. And, someone you could possibly use late in the season to make a run or just, have a solid tight end once he's back, if he comes back this season, for the playoffs.
Awesome. So we'll check and see on that. A player that I didn't see before the season starting being an impact player, Terry Maclaurin. He was injured and is practicing back again. He's been a surprise, awesome player that I didn't see coming. Where were you? Did you have any thoughts on him before the season started, Zach?
A little bit, just because of getting into more dynasty leagues. So I was doing a little bit more research on some of the college guys. And yeah, he, with going to Ohio State, I think it was more Paris Campbell that people were like, touting. And, but as far as where he was probably drafted in dynasty league rookie drafts, I don't think anyone anticipated his name being the one. I mean, there was even a receiver, Kelvin Harmon, who was drafted, was more, I'd say he was coming out of college. He had, more of a buzz behind him. But McLaurin's the only player on the Redskins I would play. I wouldn't play any of them, honestly, unless you had to.
Case Keenum, he's wearing a walking boot.
Yeah,
would you play him? Or?
Hell no. I think Colt McCoy is they're going to look to probably play because I think they didn't have any other choice last week but to play Dwayne Haskins, and he was not ready.
And like I said, Case Keenum's in a walking boot, so you're probably not going with him.
Yeah, hell no.
Damian Williams, looks like we have an update on him.
Yeah, he practiced today, which I know is Wednesday, which doesn't mean really anything, but that he didn't play last week was very, this is very good news for his owners. I would definitely play him this week. I mean, honestly, I know it's kind of maybe obvious or maybe whatever, but you're going to play guys like him on the Chiefs. Pretty much everyone but like Byron Pringle and Darwin Thompson.
Butker.
You're definitely playing Butker.
Yeah.
You're excited to have his ass. You're even debating if you play with kickers not to drop that motherfucker because he's on such a good team, which I know sounds crazy, but I digress.
Awesome. Well, let's get into our next segment, the pepperoni and pineapple of the week. So who's your pepperoni awesome player of the week, Zach?
So my pepperoni awesome player of the week is Chris Godwin.
Oh, crap.
Oh, shit.
He's our title. His name's in the title of this episode.
It is. FTW. Check it out.
For the win?
For the win. Could be. For
you, it was for the win, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's exactly where my brain went to when I heard FTW. No, yeah, it was Chris Godwin. He was like questionable all week with a hip issue, and then he had I think he was in the later games. I think that was a later game, if I recall. So you were for PPR, you were definitely playing him. Maybe you were a little bit more cautious in like a standard league. I actually played him in all my standard leagues. I didn't play him like a dumbass in one of my PPR leagues. I was sort of lazy with it. I thought that I could rely on Lenny Fournette and Christian McCaffrey, which I was able to. And luckily I didn't need him. But however, I mean, he was 12 for 172 and 2 touchdowns, with being questionable all week. I mean, it was just something you had to keep track of, and it definitely paid off. And just exciting. I mean, you hear about all these guys who have the buzz in the past 2 or 3 seasons, and you keep hearing their names. And when they actually come about, like Devontae Adams did, and here we are with Chris Godwin, it's exciting as hell. So, John, that was my pepperoni of the week.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I mean, I like Chris Godwin as a player, but I was playing against someone who had Chris Godwin in one of my leagues.
Yeesh.
And half-point PPR, he got 35.2 points. And this person did not very well at almost any other player, but it was enough to beat me. So,
you know what, man? I was even having a conversation today with someone when you have a player that puts up 30 fucking points. You're like, oh, okay, I'm sure the rest of my team should be able to show up. And you still fucking lose. You have whatever player it is that week, Mark Ingram, Sammy Watkins. It's just how it goes, though. So, John, tell me, who is your pepperoni of the week?
My pepperoni of the week is the Steelers defense.
Oh, shit. That's right. Yeah. I love watching them fucking...
Yeah, that was a great... I mean, so they held the Bengals to 3 points, and they got 8 sacks, 1 fumble recovery, 1 interception, and it was especially grateful for me because I had played them in one of my leagues, and they got me 30 points in fantasy, and that was enough to just put me over the edge to make up for some of the other players who didn't show up, and it got me a win. So I was really appreciative of that because even as a Steelers fan, I didn't see that coming.
And man, I like playing defenses. I know there are a lot of leagues that are going away from kickers, obviously, and then even playing defenses. I can't get too much into the individual defensive players. Maybe, that's something I would be into trying, but it's just too much. I just have so much fun with the offensive side, but when your defense comes through for you, bro, it's so fucking awesome. Because number one, it's exciting to see them get those sacks. Of course, anytime there's a pick six, fumble recovery, whatever the scoring settings are, it's so fucking awesome. I won a Super Bowl in 2015 because of the Cardinals defense. They were my highest fucking scoring player
For that week.
Yeah. They had 35 points.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, it got me one of my 3 Super Bowls that year. So I was like, man, that defense. And sometimes you play the defense that plays at home. You play the low scoring. You look at the whatever the line is or the point total. Yeah, exactly. I'm not too versed in the whole Vegas world, but you just look at that shit, and then you think, okay, these guys are playing at home. It's probably a better deal, blah, blah, blah. And then obviously some offenses and defenses are easy to sort of point out. But love that pepperoni of the week, man.
How does it feel, though, when it's the opposite, when you're playing against someone who all their players sucked except for their defense, and then it ends up being the difference maker of you losing that game? Do you feel just as angry as you would happy if the things were reversed?
Yes and no. I had that happen to me a couple weeks ago with the Patriots defense. Yep. Otherwise, I would have been, I guess, 3-1 in this one league. The league that you're 4-0 in. 4-0. Excuse me. I can't spit it out.
That's the only league I'm 4-0 in, so I'll take it.
Yeah, hell yeah. I got to shout that out. But because of their defense. So with fantasy, I'm learning more to be at ease with like losing by 0.1 fucking point because I know I've won by 0.1 fucking point. And then same with defenses. I know sometimes it's the difference maker. Sometimes, like I won that motherfucking Super Bowl, it's your top scorer, and it's a part of football. It's so exciting. So props on that.
Awesome, man. Well, what was your pineapple or crappy player of the week?
Even when I wrote this, I felt kind of bad about it.
Don't feel bad, Zach.
Yeah.
Be honest.
Yeah. No, I mean this is being honest, but it's DeAndre Hopkins, and really why I said he was the pineapple of the week. He was 5 for 41 and 0, by the way, 0 touchdowns on 8 targets. Just not what we expect from D-Hop, which I don't expect to ever see him back in the pineapple of the week. It's just with, where you drafted him. We're at week 5 now. You were just, probably hoping for, I think he's like 22nd overall amongst receivers in half point PPR. Don't necessarily quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure he's in that wide receiver 2 realm. But the Texans overall, they've been kind of a hard team to kind of go with.
Right.
So he was my pineapple of the week, which is sort of past couple of weeks I've had like the New York Jets or fucking coaches making bad calls as the last play instead of tying it and going overtime, giving us more fantasy points. They've gone for 2. So, but this one was just, I don't know, one of those ones where I was like, fuck, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, he was in a lot of leagues that I was in, he was the first wide receiver off the board. And so to see such a low numbers from him is a bummer.
And a quick fun fact, he's probably my favorite player.
In like the NFL.
The whole NFL, yeah.
Every position.
He's just so fucking awesome, so dynamic. Like, I've lost Super Bowls because of him. I think I won one because of him. But it didn't bother me. He's just such a fun player to watch. I mean, it doesn't matter his shit ass quarterback. He fucking performs.
Yeah, over the years, it doesn't matter who's there.
Brandon Weeden, fucking Ryan Mallett. I mean, get the fuck out of here, dude. I didn't even want to go on Brock Osweiler and those whack ass names. But John, tell me, bro, what's your pineapple of the week?
Similar to yours, at least for the reasons. Odell Beckham Jr., wide receiver of the Browns, hyped up, a lot in the preseason, as a lot of the Browns were. And this week, bro, got me 3 points in half PPR. He got 2 receptions for 20 yards. And sometimes, and what really kind of sealed it for the pineapple of the week for me was that the Browns scored 40 points in that game. So another consideration for me was Juju Smith-Schuster. He only had like 3 receptions for 15 yards, but wide receivers didn't get a ton of love in that game in general. There's a lot of short passes. Most of it was to running backs, a lot of running plays. So I'm like, okay, at least with the game script, it makes sense why he had the numbers that he did. But with Odell Beckham, and even though Baker Mayfield didn't have a crazy great game either, the fact that they scored 40 points and he's such a talented receiver and top tier, only getting 2 receptions for 20 yards was painful, especially because in the league one of the leagues that I had him in and played him, I lost by like 5 or 6 points. And him just making that difference was the difference in me going undefeated this week. So
sometimes, man, when your studs, they don't show up and you get fucking 3 points, but you're going to play them every week. It's this relationship you have with your players, as crazy as it sounds, where you're like, God, you're such a dynamic player. You're so fun to watch. You're, a number 1, first or second round pick based on, all whatever. But, someone that, you're going to play each week. I actually have him in a couple leagues this year. I was able to get him in the late second round.
Awesome.
I think. Yeah. I'm pretty excited with some of the squads I have him on. However, he didn't do shit for me. Obviously.
Well, let's use him to transition into our next segment of the starts and pickups of the week. So Odell Beckham's had a couple down weeks, and it's been mixed this season. He's playing in San Francisco this week, so the Browns at San Francisco. Do you consider benching him, or do you just got to play him, even though he got 2 receptions for 20 yards?
You have to play him. There's no way that you're not gonna. He's not in that category at all of considering not playing him.
At least not yet.
No, definitely. Yeah, he's someone that you're just gonna. What do they say? Set and forget or something like that.
Like the easy bake oven.
Something like that.
You
easy bake
replace
oven.
the light bulb with a wattage that's not approved so that you can make the food faster.
Like the microwave Mama Celeste pizzas.
And there's those creepy crawlers that are like gummies or something that you can heat up and make.
Creepy crawlers, old school.
Yeah.
What about speaking of creepy crawlers? What about the same question? So, would you consider benching Juju this week versus Baltimore?
I'm highly considering benching Juju against Baltimore. It's tough because he again first or second round pick in most leagues, and the previous week he had kind of saved himself. He had only had 2 receptions for like 20 yards or less, until he got like a 70-something yarder for a touchdown, which totally redeemed him for that game. But it's going to be tough to upkeep that. With that said, it's one game and it was against the Bengals, but the Steelers did show a lot more promise than they had, at least in being able to do it. And there's a part of me that, understands because they had such a unique game plan with a lot of wildcat formations and short running back passes that Baltimore is going to be more prepared for that, and so it's going to rely more upon the deeper passes. So it would not surprise me if Juju does step up and has a good game. But, in that same league, I have like Tyler Lockett and Robert Woods. Those guys might be safer bets in terms of numbers. So I'm definitely considering it. What about you? Do you have him in any league? And is he considered, or can you consider benching him?
I have him in one league, and no, I would still. He's kind of nearing that realm of if you have a better matchup, and his matchup, let's say, isn't really favorable, and it's a similar trend with how their offense is trying to get creative, involving Jalen Samuels, doing a lot of the Wildcat stuff. They had that one long touchdown pass, Mason Rudolph, that is, to Deontay Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it could be Juju. So I would still play him. He's still someone you're going to play every week at this point, but someone definitely to keep an eye on as far as matchups are concerned.
Yeah, and I was, just to be clear too, I was speaking purely out of fantasy football terms. He's currently my favorite football player in the NFL since Roethlisberger's out for the rest of the season.
Oh, no shit.
But just I don't know if you watched. I think maybe we talked about it during the game. He was mic'd up.
Oh, he was, yeah.
Just having fun talking to some of the other guys. He was asking the kicker, Chris Boswell, "Hey man, how many girls you talking to?" And he was a married guy and seemed quite annoyed and tried to walk away from the mic when that happened.
Oh, that's hilarious! I honestly didn't even hear that. I probably had it on mute, but I did hear some of his early. I forget who he was talking to, but he's a perfect character for that.
Yeah, and he was talking to Deontay Johnson, who caught that touchdown pass, but before that, at the very beginning of the game, first passing play, caught it for a few yards and then fumbled it, which is the only 3 points that the Bengals were able to get off of that because they're already in field goal range. And Juju came up to Johnson, the receiver who caused that fumble. He was like, "Hey man, there's a lot of game left. Don't worry about it. Let's just keep going." And then he ended up getting that long touchdown pass and kind of redeeming himself. So it was cool to see that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, I was happy that it was actually a pretty fun game to watch, and it was good to see Connor and Samuels, especially Connor, do his thing.
Awesome, man. Well, let's roll through some of these other players here. We got Kyler Murray at Cincinnati. Again, we saw the Steelers, who had struggled early on, have a lot of success against Cincinnati. What do you think about Kyler Murray?
Gotta play him, yeah. I threw some guys on this list that like you could that you want to start this week. I mean, Cincinnati's such a shitty ass fucking defense. I mean, even if it's no matter how the game script is, you're gonna want to play Kyler Murray this week. And hopefully he does some running, man. I know he only has probably under 20 yards on the fucking season.
And last week was his first rushing touchdown, right?
Yeah, thank God. I mean, I somehow won in this one league. Well, yeah, in the one league that I played him in, other leagues that I owned him in, I think I had better options. But so I was happy he even got that, because sometimes, man, with quarterback play, at least in my experience, I don't usually go after the Patrick Mahomes or anything. Sometimes even just getting a touchdown is like, all right, well, fuck, I'll at least take that. But just someone who I wanted to mention, as well as, believe it or not, Kirk Cousins against the New York Giants. They're playing in New Jersey at MetLife Stadium at the Meadowlands. Let's be more Jersey specific here. And that's something that
you like him though. You want?
Yeah.
He's had a rough season so far.
Yeah, he's had not someone I started, I think, at all in any of my leagues that I own him in, which are only dynasty leagues. I've not rostered him in. I think maybe in one league actually I had him playing the first week, but that was it. I think he threw a touchdown and maybe ran one in or some shit, so he wasn't horrible that first week. But I mean, since then, just the way that offense has been working or maybe not working, and then all the shit that's come out with Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen. Although I think he gets it back together this week. I think I could see. I predict here three touchdowns from Kirk Cousins.
Three touchdowns from Kirk Cousins.
I'm going to go tres.
All passing or one rushing? Or?
I'm going to go passing. Yeah,
okay.
I'm going to go passing.
Okay. And so is it more of a, you just think partially maybe because of the criticism and the way that their games have been going and their desperation, that this is where they put things together? Or is it that combined with the defense of the Giants?
Yeah, definitely. That's a good point. The defense of the Giants are one of the worst defenses. I mean, we were looking up earlier, like as far as like their overall defense, their run pass defense, their defensive backs are like bottom 5 in all those categories. And honestly, I think this is a good week to play Diggs. If you're not always playing him, you may not be. Adam Thielen, I think he's someone that you are always playing.
You got to give it. He's so talented. But
yeah.
But again, do you think is it just the Giants' defense not being good, or do you think that there's something that's motivating him to do better regardless of what team he was playing this week?
This is Kirk Cousins, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Sorry, it's been a long night. But no, totally. Yeah, I think it's both, man. I honestly think that both. With things in the media, just the small things you see online or on Twitter or whatever, with Adam Thielen talking about it.
Yeah.
I already got some update today or something where he apologized for not. I thought that was kind of weird.
Thielen apologized?
No, I think Kirk Cousins apologized for not like throwing him touchdowns or some shit. But
okay.
He's a family man, so that's cool. I don't see that as a sign of weakness. I just see that as two players trying to get on the same page. Because they can be a good team, dude.
Totally, they got the pieces.
Yeah, and we're not talking.
Good defense, good running back, good receivers.
Yeah, and I mean, just for this fucking week against the New York Giants, you got to play Kirk Cousins.
All right, awesome. Jared Goff against the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle. So you did some research around the last few games with the Rams and the Seahawks, and most people, and again, Seattle does have a solid defense and usually does a good job. However, the last few times against the Rams have scored pretty high, right?
Yeah, they were like in the last I think 3 or 4 games, they had like a combined 60-point kind of total, 60 or higher. It was like 31, 34. Don't call me the exact amount. It's not really important, but it was such a high. They were all high scoring games, and they were in Seattle. So even though it's Thursday night, which are always I fucking hate Thursday night. I honestly wish they had 2 Monday nights, but that's for another episode. Even though it's Thursday night, it's in Seattle. You got to play Jared Goff. I mean, with all those weapons.
They had scored so much against the Bucs last week. So
yeah, I mean, seriously, Jared Goff right now, he's someone that you just have to play with all those, as I said, all those weapons. Being a division game, yada yada. So someone who definitely I would start this week.
Cool. So we got Gallman, who is the starting running back for the Giants in place of the injured Saquon Barkley. And they are playing at home against Minnesota, as we had talked earlier with Kirk Cousins. He had a pretty good week 1 with a couple of touchdowns, 1 receiving and 1 rushing. And last week took a little bit of a step back. Do you still feel comfortable starting him? And if so, are you thinking RB1, RB2, or flex?
Yeah, I would definitely start him in my flex. I mean, Minnesota is pretty tough defense, but the way the Giants have been playing, they're playing at home again. So I would start Wayne Gallman still.
Awesome. We got Sammy Watkins here, man.
Gotta play him.
Monster week 1.
Gotta play him.
Hasn't single digits since then. Still gotta play him.
Gotta play him, yeah. Him and his alien shit or his flat earth stuff, which is pretty funny. Gotta always play Sammy Watkins. I know it's one of those players where, the team, his first game, but he's just, I mean, Jesus, man, he's on such a great team. He's the wide receiver 1, or as far as the team goes. Guys like Mecole Hardman, if Tyreek Hill doesn't play, you have to play almost all your guys if you have a Kansas City player, and it's not fucking like Darwin Thompson.
Awesome.
Or Byron Pringle, excuse me.
Pringle, like those chips.
Yeah, it was never really Pringles guy. I remember one of my friends or something. He had Pringles, and it was sort of different. I felt like it was like something was different about his family. I mean, maybe there was some order to it I didn't realize at the time. But I'm okay with Pringles now. I rarely eat potato chips, but I don't think I usually buy those kettle cook ones, so I don't usually fucks with the Pringles. But it's cool. I kind of like the packaging, and the flavors and shit. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, different is bad. There's right answers and wrong answers, and everyone needs to get with it.
Yeah. Or there's definitely you can also have that kind of perspective.
Anyway, Aaron Jones. Hasn't been doing much in terms of yards, but he's been getting those touchdowns. You said in previous weeks he's a must start. He's still feeling that way with him against the Dallas defense.
Hell yeah, you got to start Aaron Jones. He's still on that list of guys you always have to start. Excuse me. Even though they've been fucking throwing the ball on like 1st and goal, which is retarded, but Yeah, you got to start Aaron Jones. I mean, he's one of those players that is very talented. When he gets his, he usually shows up. They have to stop messing around with that bullshit on the goal line. But yeah, you want to go Aaron Jones.
Awesome, man. So last one here for the Sizzler starts. Jarvis Landry was quiet at the beginning of the season. Had a bunch, a big game this last game. Did also get a little bit injured. Again, the Browns are playing in San Francisco. How do you feel about starting him?
Jarvis Landry, honestly, I would start him as a flex. I would definitely start him. I mean, in PPR for sure. I would start him as a flex.
What about a half-point PPR?
Yeah, I'd start him as my wide receiver too, or as a flex.
What about a negative 1 point PPR?
No, I would not. He would be on my bench. He'd be kicking it. He'd be kicking it with. Oh man, it was a weak burp. Excuse me. It was like a pizza burp. So like nothing happened, but like I felt like the pizza sauce. It wasn't a heartburn burp, but yeah, it was all right. But which, by the way, before we segue from my pizza burp into the pizza review player comparison, I did want to make an honorable mention for the Dynasty community. AJ Brown. I mean, am I right?
Had a good game, 2 touchdowns.
Holy shit, dude. When he got drafted to the Titans, everyone was like, shit, he got on the shittiest fucking team. He's probably the best wide receiver in that last class. And he got on the shitty-ass team. Again, it's more of a Dynasty mention. Not someone I'm going to start in redraft at all. Of course, unless something changes. But as far as Dynasty mention and representing, wearing that number 11, which looks dope. And then who knows? I mean, this is make or break for Marcus Mariota, which I think they need to move on. They need someone who can really get that ball downfield. But I just want to mention him before we get into our pizza review. Where did we get our pizza from tonight?
We got our pizza from Dion's Pizza, which if you live in New Mexico, you are probably familiar with. So it's something been around since I was a kid that I can remember, and felt like it was time to bring it on to the Fantasy Football Pizzeria podcast. We got the classic Zach toppings, as I sometimes refer to it as, with the pepperoni black olives, also ordered with extra sauce and well done. What is your evaluation of this pizza, Zach?
So, John, we're just kind of breaking it down, going over the toppings first and foremost. We had the pepperoni black olives, which was good. They were very they were plentiful. I tend to like the black olives there a little more. Something with the pepperoni, it's not bad. It just doesn't really stand out as much. Mm-hmm. And then the cheese was very tasty. A little too much. I mean, that kind of goes in hand with...
Too tasty.
No, well, it was too tasty. What the fuck? I'll have that made delicious, please. No, dude, so it just... it wasn't too tasty. It just was a little too much cheese.
Much cheese. Gotcha.
Yeah, but I was going to say it coincides with the side... So it coincides with the sauce because we get extra sauce, but they never motherfucking put the right amount of sauce on there.
Even when you ask for
Even when you
sauce.
ask. It could be nice as fuck. You could say it in another language. You can do whatever you want and get creative. Even if you ask, you never get extra sauce. I will say this, though. If you go to Blaze Pizza, one of those places that makes it in front of you, and you can say how much cheese that you want, a la like a Subway vibe.
You just keep telling them.
Then you can say, like, hey, bro,
going,
easy cheese, bro. Easy cheese.
Yeah.
Extra sauce. But anyway, in this case, it was tasty cheese, just a little too much, which also is my way of saying that there wasn't enough sauce. So what I did is I got a side of sauce. Drove up to the window.
You were prepared.
I was. I said, hey, may I please have a side of sauce? And she's like, oh, sure, no problem. And I always do this after I pay for it. That way, the likelihood of me getting it free is much greater than if I say, oh, can I have a side of extra sauce with my order? Mm-hmm. Sure, sir. I'll happily charge you fucking an extra, upcharge for the side of sauce. Right. So a little bit of a pro tip there. Ask after. Get that extra sauce. So I was able to kind of save it out there and just sort of, make it happen. The crust was delicious. Made up for last week's bullshit with that cheese in the crust bullshit from fucking Little Caesars. It just was gross. And my player comparison for this Dion's Pizza is actually Kirk Cousins. I know I was talking about him just a minute ago in great length. Really why I'm comparing it to Kirk Cousins is Dion's is sort of like a family restaurant, and I see Kirk Cousins as that like religious family guy, and that he's poised to throw those 3 touchdowns this week against the Giants. It also kind of went along with it because Dion's is pretty consistent, man. They're not the best, but they're really good, and they have a great environment. Pizza is very tasty. You definitely want that extra side of sauce, so you got to ask for that afterwards. But he definitely for this week it'll come through, just like Dion's came through this evening for us as a stream. So my player comparison with the whole family vibe, with the whole coming on back, with the consistency, not a sexy pick, but still delish is Kirk Cousins. That sounded weird saying delish and then Kirk Cousins together. It sounded like kind of weird.
Freudian slip.
Yeah, well, I wasn't a Freudian slip. I just think it was all like mumbled and jumbled, but that's okay. I got my Kirk Cousins Dion's match along.
Nice, a coded way to express your feelings. I get it.
I like it.
Yeah.
So, John, what about you? What are your feelings on this pizza? What's your review?
Zach, I think for the first time in this Fantasy Football Pizzeria podcast, we're basically on the same page with this.
All right, fuck yeah.
So, starting with the toppings, I thought it was a good flavor and texture for both the pepperoni and olives. I'm always a big texture guy. I know I mentioned that with every pizza review, especially the black olives in this one. I thought that there wasn't quite enough black olives on the pizza. I thought they were a little bit light on the amount, so definitely could have used more. The pepperonis were pretty well distributed, but again, the black olives needed more. Cheese, I thought was a good flavor and good amount. I know it's a little bit more for you, but I like a lot of cheese. Sauce, totally agree with you. Even though we ordered extra sauce, it was not even close. I wouldn't even say it was average sauce. It still felt like a light amount of sauce, so that was disappointing. But and the crust, good flavor. It's a little thicker for my preference of what I like in pizza, but it was a solid flavor. It tasted fresh, and just kind of in general, since we've both had a lot of Dion's pizza in our lives, even at multiple fantasy football drafts together. In my experience, I'd be curious if you feel the same way. It always feels like Dion's pizza, you got to eat it fresh, because like the longer you wait, whether it's the next day or whatever, it's just it doesn't stay as fresh as other pizzas, probably because it doesn't have as many preservatives. Would you say you agree with that?
Definitely. I even think when you purchase it, you want to eat it, pretty soon after. It took me a while to get over here with it. I'd say I would prefer to eat it maybe 10 minutes earlier, just to get it at its prime. I mean, even though it was like maybe half hour after it was finished, but it was warm. I mean, they had it warm for us, but I totally know what you mean, and that's definitely the case with Dion's.
Awesome. And so my player comparison, I felt, would be James Conner, running back for the Steelers. He put up a good performance this past week, had some mixed performances before that. He still has room for improvement going on. Either way, he's part of the family and going to be continue to be a part of that going forward. And I definitely liked it more than Little Caesars last week, but I definitely didn't hate Little Caesars as much as you did.
Yeah, no, I wasn't feeling it. I like their pizza slogan, but that's it, just because it's the word pizza twice.
Awesome, man. Well, we're going to go into our game of the week, and we're changing it up this week. So in previous podcast episodes, we would always talk about the game that we were most excited for in the upcoming week. However, it felt a little bit more relevant and more interesting to talk about the previous game or the game of the week based on the previous week, so we could see what had the most exciting stats and just entertaining overall. But we chose to go with the Buccaneers at the Rams, which was a 55-40 score where the Buccaneers upset the Rams.
Yeah, I don't think anyone saw that coming. I mean, honestly, especially they were playing in L.A. Not that that's like a tough place to play or anything, but just that they were playing on the road.
I will give credit to my friend Spuds. We were at the casino, and where sports betting is now legal in New Mexico, and the money line for the Buccaneers and Rams was basically 4-1. So for every $1 you bet for the Buccaneers to win, you'd win $4, which is pretty high. And he really wanted to bet on it. Didn't actually do it, but was pretty. Once I saw that score, I was like, oh man, he should have placed that bet like he was talking about.
Damn. But yeah, no, that was a good game, and it's tough, man. Gambling and doing that, I never have good luck with it.
But yeah, Jared Goff threw for 517 yards. He still threw 3 picks and only had 2 touchdowns, but any quarterback getting over 500 yards is an awesome time, and it's only happened so many times in the history of the NFL.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone really expected that to be the game of the week. I mean, everyone thought the Rams would just rip it through the Bucs and that be that, but
Yeah. 517 is a special passing yard number for me because a couple of years ago went to Pittsburgh and saw the Steelers play the Colts, and Roethlisberger threw for 517 yards, 6 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. So that was a great time. So it's cool to see Jared Goff join the 500 club because I don't think he's thrown for 500 before.
when you saw that game, did you have him playing in any of your fantasy leagues?
Yes, I did.
Like, how cool is that when you go to a fucking game and you see, I mean, you have so many things that are great on that because you're a Steelers fan. Mm-hmm. You mentioned earlier that Ben Roethlisberger is your favorite player. Mm-hmm. You know, he's the one who kind of got you into the whole fantasy thing. And,
right.
And then you see him dominate like that. I mean, damn, that's like, it's so fun. And it almost like, I've had that happen a long time ago when I saw the Jets play. I had Brandon Marshall. Long time ago.
Awesome. 2015
or 16, some shit like that.
Loved Brandon Marshall in his prime, dude.
Yeah, and it's just so fun when you see actually you're there in the flesh. So that's real cool, man. That here it is with that same number.
Awesome, man. So in that same game, Todd Gurley only had 5 carries for 16 yards, but did get 2 touchdowns, at least rushing. What do you think about him going forward? I mean, is he kind of in that same category where you just got to play him, or
got to
more
play
reserved? He did have 7 receptions for 54 yards, so that definitely helped.
Yeah, you gotta play Todd Gurley.
All right, cool. Let's see anyone else that stood out to you. Cooper Kupp's been doing pretty baller, and Robert Woods finally took a step up. I was telling Zach earlier, I got in one of my leagues, I got Robert Woods and Tyler Lockett from the Seattle Seahawks going back and forth between my flex spot, and I've been opposite on when to play them because Tyler Lockett does awesome, so I put him in, and then he doesn't do anything of the week that I play him. And the same thing goes for Robert Woods. He had a down week last week, so I played Tyler Lockett, and then he ended up getting 13 receptions for 164 yards this week.
Yeah, no, I know with Robert Woods, he's someone I'm playing every week. Really, with that Rams offense, you know, I'd say I play all those wide receivers: Brandon Cooks, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, no matter what.
Let's go to the Buccaneers a little bit. What do you think about Ronald Jones? He had 19 carries for 70 yards and a touchdown, 3.7 yards average per carry. What do you think? Do you feel? Because I don't know. I see him there, and I'm hesitant to play him, but maybe he's. And this was a pretty high scoring game, so 70 yards isn't a ton, but what do you feel about him?
Someone I would definitely look to have on my bench at least. I don't know if I'd be in a rush to play him. They always have that thing in Tampa Bay where they say Peyton Barber's he's the starter, and then they give Ronald Jones a lot of the opportunities. And I saw him towards the end of the game. It was this one run. He just was shaking and stiff arm, and it looked awesome. I was really happy to see it because, he came out last year, and a lot of folks were high on him. He didn't do shit. So yeah. So I'm definitely rooting for him, but because honestly, like the way Peyton Barber, I mean, gosh, I have to start him in some leagues. It's like I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed to admit, but it's like,
hey,
leave that out.
Right. But otherwise, we talked about Godwin having his monster game with 12 receptions, 172 yards, 2 touchdowns. Mike Evans kept a solid performance, not a ton of receptions, 4 receptions, but got 89 yards and touchdowns. So very happy to see that continue since I have him in one league. Anything else you want to talk about this game of the week?
No, other than it was great to see the Bucs, actually make it a good game. And
yeah, just a fun game. Kept going back and forth, and they both kept scoring and high scoring, good for fantasy. upset from the team underdog perspective. So it was a good game.
Hell yeah.
Awesome, man. So let's talk about our top 5 of the week. This is the top 5 passing yards, rushing yards, and receiving yards. So still at the top of the list is Patrick Mahomes with 1,510 yards. And Zach's prediction for the number 1 passer of the year has took a step up. Matt Ryan is in second place. After that monster game like we talked about, Jared Goff, Rams quarterback, is in third place. Phillip Rivers is in fourth place from the Los Angeles Chargers. And then Jameis Winston in that same game of the week, creeping up. Rounding out in fifth place.
Chris Godwin, fuck the world.
Or for the win,
for the win,
depending on if he was on your team or you're playing against him. Anyway, rushing yards. Christian McCaffrey's just been tearing it up, dude.
Hell yeah.
It's, of course, hindsight, and we'll see how things end out at the end of the season. But there's a part of me.
I love him.
That I'm just like, I got Saquon. Should I have gotten McCaffrey instead? But we'll see. We'll see how things pan out. Anyway, he's at number 1 with 411 yards. Right behind him is Dalvin Cook, literally with 1 yard less, Minnesota running back. Leonard Fournette had a good game.
Lenny Fowl, hell yeah.
He had like that 80-something
225 yards.
And one rush was like 80-something yards. So
he needs some touchdowns, man.
Hey, if he can,
I'll take that though. Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Fuck
I mean,
yeah,
in terms of
Lenny Fowl,
he's kind of like a high-end gamble, but in any case, he's rounding out third place. Jacksonville running back Nick Chubb also had a monster game.
Hell yeah.
Longest run of the season for running backs in the NFL. I think it was 88 yards, something like that he had in this last game. Anyway, at fourth place. And name we saw previously, Marlon Mack, the Colts running back, rounding out in fifth place. Receiving yards, once again, Keenan Allen, surprised to see him still there, but he's number 1 with 452 yards.
I'm happy to see that, man, because I was dogging on him years ago about how injury prone
every
he was.
year.
Yeah, like why the fuck would you draft him? So, and honestly, over the past couple years, I've been more just like, I'm not play hating. I'm rooting for all these guys. You know, I don't want anyone to get injured, all that. Not that I ever was rooting against anyone and want someone to get injured, but you know, you get frustrated with these guys when they're touted like they're like the bomb and they keep getting injured. You know, it's not their fault, but just what happens to be. So I'm happy to see that he's up there.
Yeah, I'd made an effort to draft him multiple years in a row through the injuries as well as underperforming. So I'm glad to see him doing well when I don't own him.
Where are you, Mike Williams? Come back.
Anyway, in second place, a guy that we're just kind of a fan of just in general, Cooper Kupp, is from the Rams, is doing well, and happy to have him on a team or two of mine. Your boy, Chris Godwin.
Hell yeah, represent.
Third place here with the Tampa Bay Bucks.
It's the God.
Devontae Adams, we'll see how he's doing with his injury, and he plays, but he's in fourth place. And then once still staying on top there, Travis Kelce, the only tight end, in fifth place here with the most receiving yards in the season so far.
And again, if you look where you could draft Travis Kelce, getting him in the first round, the second round, I mean, you're pretty much getting a wide receiver, and here's some proof for it,
And it's nice since it's, most leagues only have one tight end spot.
Yeah.
You don't have to think about it. Other than the bye week, you don't have to think about another tight end or streaming options, and it's just a nice thing to have. So it's good to see him doing well.
Yeah, it is good to see him doing well. Props to him.
All right, Zach. So we're getting towards the end here, and we are going into our song of the week. Tell us what your song of the week is and why you chose it.
So before I do that, I just want to say I love this segment. I know fantasy football, it's fantasy football pizzeria, but music is such a part of it all. Part of a pizzeria, part of eating, part of fucking football. I mean, geez, if it's not Red Zone and I have to actually watch the Sunday night game or the Monday night game where I have to fuck with the commercials and be pressing mute because there's nothing else on TV, gotta play music. So I love this segment. I just wanted to shout that out because it's such a part of football, such a part of the fantasy football experience that we get to shout out these artists, these songs, and have a playlist that we can share with you. And we'll probably do a season to season one where each season we'll make a new playlist. So, you kind of have an idea of, some of the vibe or just checking out different stuff. So with that said, this week my song of the week is a song called Wigs. by A$AP Ferg. And the reason why I chose this song is on his recent album. And it's really fucking catchy, man. It has this kind of, with the beat, it reminds me of an early 2000 kind of, kind of sound. Excuse me. And I just love the energy behind it. Very, very catchy hook. And there's something about with hip hop music, it just instills like this air of confidence. There's something about it that I love listening to it. You know, I mean, this is literally about, it's about, wigs on the floor, motherfuckers and shit, people fucking, all that stuff, all that good stuff. But it's so catchy, and it's not even the best song on this album, but it just has stuck with me, and something that I really enjoyed. I'm a big fan of a lot of East Coast rap and a lot of East Coast hip hop, and A$AP Ferg. He's been on my playlist for quite some time now, so I'm really happy to add him as my song of the week. Check it out, A$AP Ferg, Wigs.
Nice. And A$AP Ferg is the solo name of Fergie from the Black Eyed Peas, correct?
Exactly, yes. That's exactly, yeah. It's A$AP Fergie from the Black Eyed Peas. She actually wears a lot of wigs.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and then, happen to do...
Right, and you write about what you know.
Yeah, exactly. Do you? What about you, John? What's your
Awesome,
song of the week?
Well, I find it kind of funny because we didn't know what songs each of us were choosing, and I don't want to classify us too much, but we both listen to a lot of rock music, so it's kind of funny. I also chose a hip hop song.
Nice.
One of my favorite rapper right now, NF, as in Nate Firestein. I can't remember how to pronounce his last name. Probably why he goes by NF. But in any case, and this is off of his latest album, and the song is called "Leave Me Alone." And just on pretty much every level, I really enjoy the lyrics. I enjoy the flow. I enjoy the passion behind it. I find it really relatable in terms of, I try to be. I don't say I try to be, but I do make an effort to be social and talk to people and have those kinds of relationships. But there are moments that I can really kind of tap into with this song where it's just like you don't want any of that and you just want to be left alone. And he's literally yelling in the chorus, and not a lot of rappers can pull that off to where it seems genuine and works well with the song. And so if that's something that you find interesting, highly check out our playlist so you can hear it.
Cool. I'm excited to check this out, man. There's a New Order song called "Leave Me Alone." Shout out to New Order. So that just the title alone, definitely sticks with me. So yeah, man, I'm definitely excited to see it on that playlist.
Awesome, dude. Well, I'm going to, let's see, should we do the quote first, or are we going to talk about next week's podcast next?
Let's do a quick next week's podcast.
All right, and then we'll close out.
Yeah, why not? I think that's the way to do it. That way we can end on some solid jams and some wise words.
Awesome, dude. Well, I enjoyed talking with you.
Man.
Let us know what's coming next week.
Yeah. So next week we're gonna be doing all the same awesome ass segments with the pepperoni, the pineapple. We'll give you the news. We'll break down some of our starts, some of our sits. We'll mention players that you want to stream. We'll be giving you a breakdown of the game of the week, kind of some of the highlights of that, and maybe a surprise we were looking through today. So there could be a couple of surprise games there. Definitely not the Jets game though. And then, we're going to go over the music and everything, and just keep on checking us out. We're really having a great time doing this. We're open to all kinds of ideas and suggestions. It's a sort of a fluid experience, which is why I really dig it, man. Each week that we're doing this, it's just so fucking fun, man. We get better with something each time. Even today, I know I've been breathing a lot in the mic, so my bad if anyone's listening to this shit on their headphones. But having this clamp on this fucking on this desk here, man, is perfect.
You liked it? It feels better.
Dude,
more malleable.
Fucking neck likes it. My back likes it.
Get
dude,
that mic right in the comfortable position.
Yeah, I'm breathing through the whole thing. But so yeah, I just wanted to just kind of shout that out. So thanks to everyone who's been checking us out, listening to us, giving us a shot. We're really having a lot of fun doing this. So keep on coming back. And where can they find us on the social of the medias?
On Twitter, you can find Zach at FFPizzaman. On Instagram, you can find him at Fantasy Football Pizzeria. And just in case you didn't know, pizzeria is spelled Pizzeria. It's not pizza and then Ria.
Common mistake.
I would be lying if I said the first time I typed that out, I didn't type it correctly. So, for me, you can find me at Life Never Lost. It's everywhere: YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, lifeneverlost.com. And for this quote, I saw it earlier in the week. It was from an author that I had seen do some public speaking before. I didn't hear him say this, but this was on his social media, which is linked here in the show notes. But Eric Qualman, or also known as Equalman, had this to say, and it had an impact on me. Drum roll, please. Please. Show me your calendar and bank account, and I'll show you your priorities. Think about it.
Think about it. It's deep.
Super deep.
Deep.
Makes me want to reassess some things in my life.
Thank you. Good night.